It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so the next fighter in our prospect review video series is quite an interesting one because this is a guy that I covered one of his fights last year. I've seen him, in person. We never really talked, but I've seen him in person before. But we just never spoke. But good fighter, really interesting fighter. Had a big amateur background. He's interesting because with that big amateur background, he was one of the first big talents in boxing to really sign and link up with Jake Paul and Most Valuable Promotions, and that's that man right there. Ashton H20 SYLVE. He's got 10 fights on the dot, so he just made the cutoff for the prospect review video series. There are exceptions to the rule, but I normally try to keep it at guys with 10 fights or less. So he's got 10 fights on the dot. So let's talk about H20 because he's making a lot of noise in boxing. He's got 9 knockouts in 10 of his fights, which is funny because the one fight of his I actually went to was the fight where he didn't get a knockout. So I think my perception of Ashton may be a bit skewed because I just saw the one fight where he went rounds and looked kind of regular. So we'll see how it goes. But let's talk about it. So Ashton H20 SYLVE. This guy, I mentioned his amateur background in the beginning of the video. This young man, at 19 years old, but he's 19 years old now. But when he was 15 years old, by the time he was 15 years old, he was already an 8-time national champion in the amateurs. So that right there off rip tells you the caliber of fighter he is. He did beat a fighter that I'm very familiar with. He actually beat a fighter that I'm cool with from Vegas. And that's none other than my main man, Ethan Smith. And the screen went out. Hold on. My screen went out. Hold on. Gotta make sure got the screen going. He beat Ethan Smith, and I know Ethan Smith from my time going to Vegas in 2017. Ethan Smith has won a bunch of stuff in the amateurs, national titles, things like that. And so to beat a guy like him, who's tall and rangy and lanky and has a great boxing IQ, that kind of speaks to the caliber of fighter Ashton that H20 is. So that's a very good amateur win to have on your resume. I mentioned earlier, I went to the only fight in his career where he didn't get a knockout, which was against Adam Kapinga. And in that fight, I remember watching that fight. I remember seeing Ashton. He was good. He had good fundamentals. He had above average speed. But in that particular fight, Adam Kapinga was able to take his shots and prove to be very durable. So I wasn't really too impressed with the punch power when I seen him. But then I went back and I watched some of his other fights. And he can crack, So he's got a fight coming up February 2nd. He's taking on Esteban Falcao, and that'll be his 11 pro fight. And his name's been linked to fighting big names in the 35 division. Like I know the fight that I talked about in a separate video that I would like to see him in. I think him and Floyd Schofield's a very makeable fight. They're both on the zone. One's a Golden Boy, one's an MVP. I'm sure there could be a pathway to make that fight happen. I know Jake Paul said he's willing to go ahead and make that fight happen. So I would like to see that fight. Ashton Sylve has a common opponent with Ryan Garcia. He did fight the Dominican journeyman in the very awkward Braulio Rodriguez. Anybody who watched Ryan Garcia's rise in boxing as a fighter, you may remember one of the first fights that he had on the zone was on the undercard of Canelo versus Rocky Fielding. And he fought this Dominican named Braulio Rodriguez, who was tall, lanky, real awkward, just does everything wrong, but it just has a weird, awkward style. And Ryan knocked him out in 5 rounds. But those 5 rounds, Ryan was really having to work, Ashton Sylve did not have that problem. He blasted him out in 1 round. So that's a good little feather in his cap for H20. And then as far as his punching power, because somebody asked me recently on a live, they said, BT, True School, what do you think about H20's punching power? And I said, look, from what I saw when I was ringside, I didn't see like no crazy knockout punch with him. When I went back and I watched some of his other fights, he's got real power. And the thing about it is, and I think sometimes I forget this about H20, he's just 19 years old. So my thing is this: there's guys that are 19. Like I just did a video about Elijah Flores, right? Who's a prospect himself with 7 fights. He doesn't have the knockout ratio H20 has, and he's 19 years old. This kid, H20, is knocking people out at 19 years old. So imagine when he gets to 20 years old, 21 years old, 22 years old, gets more experience under his belt, sees more styles, gets better sparring. He's going to be knocking more guys out. And so I do think he's got real punching power, but I don't think his punching power is his best attribute. His best attribute from what I've seen on tape and when I was at the fight in person is actually his combination punching. I think he has nice combinations. I think he's got a way about varying his attack from head to body and doing it in a way where he changes speeds very, very well. You know, there's a lot of professional traits about H2O's style that when you really get into the style and the skill set, there's lots to like about him early on in his career. So those are my thoughts on him. I'm looking very forward to seeing how he looks in his next fight because, you know, I think if he wins his next fight against Esteban Falcao, you know, I don't think he's too far off from getting ranked because, I mean, he's not ranked in any of the 4 sanctioning bodies, but he's ranked number 62 on BoxRec. I mean, let's see, Falcao, where's Falcao ranked? And I wonder if this Falcao is ranked is related to the other Falcao that fought on Top Rank. He's ranked 73, so I'm thinking, look, he's gonna get bumped up at least, you know, 10 spots, if he's able to beat Falcao. That would put him around like 52. So he's getting to that point where if he wins all his fights this year, by the end of the year, he should be looking at a guy that's either in or knocking on the door or cracking the world title picture. So he won't be a prospect much longer. But those are my thoughts on H2O. One of the most interesting prospects in boxing, the national champion many times over, Jake Paul's star fighter. I think Jake Paul's star fighter, the guy that I know he's got Amanda Serrano, who he has signed, Jadacia Green, other fighters as well. But as far as young, fresh talent who has his best boxing in front of him, this is his guy, and just wanted to talk about him. So let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think about H2O? What other observations or facts or just anything of value could you add in the comments? Leave your comments down below about H2O. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this video, click right here and make sure you subscribe. Much love from sunny South Florida.